To quote Shakespeare, all the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and they have their entrances. One man or woman in their time plays many parts. Janine Malone fits the role of Shakespeare's player. She has played many parts on our U.S. dressage stage and has influenced the direction U.S. dressage has taken over the past 25 plus years that she has been involved. I fondly recall a memorable lunch that Janine and I had by the ocean at the HSA convention in San Diego. Unusual that Janine had downtime. It was just two parents talking about our families and discussing our concerns about our children's education. As always, she was full of information, common sense, and very knowledgeable about the various topics we covered. It was quite apparent that she had two deeply rooted passions in her life, her world of dressage and the world of her family. Her sons, Ben and Sam, and her late husband, John. Since then, the family has expanded as her sons are married and starting families of their own. Before Janine was the guru of governance, she was a rider. She got her start early with horses while growing up on a farm in the mountainous, rural area of western North Carolina. I remember how I just had to have a pony. We rode western back then, and my sister and I had the kind of ponies that would run away down the mountain and dump you in a barbed wire fence. Fortunately, things improved over time. She graduated from Pony Club with an A rating. She did hunters, combined training, and fox hunting. As Janine once told the Chronicle of Horse in an interview, I'm a typical type A perfectionist, so it's probably natural that I gravitated towards dressage. Once she made the move to dressage, she competed up to Prix St. George and became an instructor and a breeder of horses at Rosenberg Farm. She and her husband John started in Zebulon, North Carolina, back in 1969. For almost 20 years, Janine was also a combined training judge, TD, and event organizer. Oh, and I almost forgot. Janine served in the U.S. Pony Clubs in various volunteer capacities, including regional supervisor and national examiner. During all of these activities, her son, Sam, gives credit to his late father. Without the support of my father, neither most of her career in dressage nor many of our achievements in life thus far would have been possible. The former U.S. Steward General for Dressage, Elizabeth Williams, once said, she's a very detail-oriented, and she loves the rule book. If you have a question about a rule, you ask her. As a matter of fact, I doubt all of us in this room collectively can match Janine in her knowledge of USDF rules, USDF bylaws, and USDF policies and procedures. No one knows the rules better. Her knowledge of the rule book is extensive, enabling her to catch when a seemingly minor tweak in one part of the rule book could have a major impact on another. We have been fortunate to have her watchful eye, attention to detail, and incredible stewardship when it comes to the rules. However, that is just one small aspect of Janine. In 1998, she was the first recipient of the USDF Volunteer of the Year Award. At that time, one of the presenters said, Janine illustrates volunteerism at its best. That was 24 years ago, and she hasn't slowed down or rested on her laurels since then in her volunteer work. In 2007, she won the USEF Sally Bush Wheeler Trophy for Distinguished Service to the equine industry. David O'Connor, when presenting the award, said, Janine is the epitome of a person who gives everything back to the sport. It's because of people like Janine that this sport is able to happen. A member of the HSA USDF Dressage Committee, the USDF, it's going to go on again like Lisa, so I'm sorry. The USDF Board of Directors and the USDF Executive Committee for years. Janine was also Vice President for FEI affiliates, as well as the Budget and Finance Committee. Currently, she is Chairman of the USDF Competition Management Committee. She is also the U.S. representative on the International Dressage Organizers Board. She's a large R judge for dressage and sport horse breeding, a large RTD, and an FEI chief steward. Before Janine was Secretary Extraordinaire of the USDF from 2001 to 2013. She was on the executive board as the Region 1 Director from 1996 to 2001. She was the organizer for the Raleigh CDI for 17 years before she formed her own show management company, Rosenberg Events. Over the years, I frequently looked to her for guidance, or in the case of the U.S. Dressage Finals, to get it up and running. She was a strong believer of the importance of it being a true showcase for the adult amateur division alongside the open division, without one taking away from the other. It was a no-brainer to have Janine to be the chair of the organizing committee for the inaugural U.S. Dressage Finals. Janine is someone who's given her heart and soul to dressage. There are few programs within USDF she has not influenced or guided. Sometimes she's cajoled, other times prodded, and sometimes, being one of those, even whipped her fellow committee members into shape, and getting us all to do a better job at whatever it is we're trying to fix or create. I know, because I've been on more committees with her than I can possibly count. Having sat on many committees with her, I am of the opinion that Janine would have been brilliant at anything she put her mind to. We are lucky that one of her primary interests was and still is dressage. Lisa Goretta, again, Lisa, expressed it best when she wrote, Janine has played a seminal role in the creation of USDF policies and procedures, USDF bylaws, and every strategic plan. She's been an active participant or chair in many of the committees and programs, including competition management, judges, sport horse, and regional championships. She played an integral role in the transfer of the HSA Dressage Championships to the successful USDF Regional Championship program our members now enjoy. Her knowledge is encyclopedic and irreplaceable. She's been an active member of every joint, anything between USDF and USDF, or HSA for that matter. Janine has probably conducted the job orientation for USDF staff liaisons for more programs than anyone in our organization. She serves as a resource for staff and our volunteer leadership for practically every program we conduct, and gives innumerable hours of every week in service to USDF, as well as to USDF, where she duplicates her efforts for dressage and equestrian sports as a whole. Janine recently told me she's a very detail-oriented person. I can only say that, Janine, is an understatement. The dressage community has benefited tremendously from what you refer to as your type A personality. It is very fortunate that you have given so generously with your time, knowledge, and heart. Janine, it is my great pleasure to induct you into the USDF Hall of Fame.
This is a great honor. It's especially an honor to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. At the same time, my very good and longtime friend, Lisa Goretta, is the Lifetime Achievement winner. As a little kid, I wanted a horse. From the time I can remember, the earliest time I can remember. I grew up in western North Carolina, a little town of Canton, west of Asheville. And my father bought ponies for my sister and I. We rode western, and then I tried to ride saddle horses, but that wasn't for me. And then there was an opportunity. Pony Club came to Asheville, and we managed to be involved in that. Pony Club was wonderful. It was education. There were people who provided education and opportunities for kids like us who are interested in learning. And how many of you were involved in Pony Club in this room? How many? Do you remember being told way back, however long ago it was, the mantra, each one, teach one? How many of you remember that? Great. Well, it hit home with me. I taught as a volunteer Pony Club rally teams from the time I was just out of high school. This was in the mid-1960s. I went on to work with, after I was out of college, Pony Club teams in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I went on to be involved in the formation of the North Carolina Dressage and Hunt Training Association. Went to that to National Pony Club. Came to USDF meeting. What do? You get involved. And at some point, I was interested in learning rules. And Edgar Hotz, how many of you remember him? He asked me if I was interested in being on the AHSA at the time, Dressage Committee. Of course, interested. Rules hadn't been updated in like a century. They were so out of date with FEI rules and everything else, and I was like horrified. So I said, I'll take this on. And I was on the Dressage Committee for many, many years. And I would say that I always felt from the early time that the rules should serve the sport and make the sport better. And I'm interested in it still. And I understand that a lot of people aren't, but it's a benefit for the sport to have a few people who are interested in the rules and keeping them updated. And so I still work on that, and I'm very interested in it. And I have to say thank you to all the USEF dressage staff in front of me who are so fantastic that I work with. Thank you all. They make our sport better. The USDF dressage staff, when I went on the USDF executive board, as a regional director, I can't remember, it's been 20 years ago probably. Policies and procedures and bylaws haven't been updated in who knows how long. I took that on, thanks to my husband, who worked hard and helped with the farm. I was able to do this for hours a day. It's not unusual to be spent 30 hours a week doing volunteer work. It needed to be done, and I was interested in it happening. As my son, Sam and Mint can attest, I organized horse shows. I became a licensed official. I had a breeding farm. I taught lessons. I did a little bit of everything. And actually being a jack of all trades and learning about all those things helps you a lot in being able to use your knowledge to benefit the sport. And I've tried to do that. It's an interest, it's a continuing interest. I enjoy it. I'm on several new USEF committees now, the legislative committee, the hearing committee. All that interests me because I think if you use your knowledge that you gain over time, it's better. But it all starts out as a volunteer. For me, it started with Pony Club. And I have to give credit to my son, Sam and Ben, who had to help volunteer at horse shows when they never wanted to, and they probably hate horses now. One lives in New York City and one lives in Princeton, New Jersey, and they're not around horses, but they had to persevere and help set up. I always say Sam when we scored the horse show, and Ben, he kind of liked to flirt with the girls, but that's another story. But anyway, they both helped. I want to even give a shout out here to my longtime friend, Bill Maroney. I know where you are, Bill. You're sometime here. Bill and I were volunteers together at USEF. He had a passion for rules just like I did. We were up at 6 a.m. checking everything in the morning. I don't see you, Bill. I know you're over there. But I was on the USEF board, HSA, then USEF, and I've never been afraid to speak my mind and think ahead. I will say that I was on the first group appointed joint committee by AHSA and USDF to explore a joint regional championship. I've been on that committee ever since, and I've forged ahead. It's a great program for the USDF. As I reported, there were about 3,000 regional championship participants each year for the last several years. The U.S. Dressage Fund, although it's not going to happen, it's not going to work. That happened for years, and I said, yes, it will work. Other breeds and disciplines can do it. We can do it. Look where USDF is now. It's all about having faith and being able to work and being a little bit single-minded and tough. As several people have explained, you all already described my personality. It kind of fits with this, but dressage is a passion. I've enjoyed working with all the other volunteers and particularly this hardworking staff. And I hope to continue to do it for more years. Thank you very much.
Congratulations to Father, Lisa, and of course, Janine.